Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal, and this is the latest transfer news. Now, we have updates on Gyokeres as always, and a new name emerged yesterday, Julian Alvarez from Atletico Madrid. We are going to discuss that one, and also we have reports on Zinchenko, Arsenal being happy with Zinchenko leaving this transfer window. So my question is, how much do you think we should be getting for Zinchenko in the transfer market this summer transfer window? Should we be asking for 10 million, 15 million? 20 million? Let me know how much you'd be asking for Zinchenko before he leaves. So let's start with Gyokeres. So this is the first of today's updates on Gyokeres. Ryan Taylor Sports says Arsenal are considered front runners for Viktor Gyokeres should they wish to follow up on their interest. So if we decide to go for Viktor Gyokeres, we are the favorites to buy him. But that is if we decide to go for him. If we don't decide to go for him and decide to go for the other strikers, then obviously we won't be getting him. But if we do want him, then we are going to be the favorites. He'd probably be happy to join us, but it depends on a lot of stuff. I think if Gyokeres doesn't join Arsenal, it won't be because he preferred to join any other team or because, another team paid more money for him. I don't think it's going to be any of that. If we don't get Gyokeres, it's going to be because we preferred different strikers because they're younger or because of style of play or maybe wages or something like that. I don't even know how much he's asking for in terms of wages, but that is where now we are looking at this guy. The reason I'm confident heading into this transfer window is because of Andrea Bata. Andrea Bata is a director who can convince players like Gyokeres, whether it's in terms of wages, whether it's in terms of, convincing the agent, whether it's in terms of playing time, everything. That is a person who's signed big strikers before, including Julian Alvarez, who we are going to talk about next up. So if we decide to go for Gyokeres, we are going to get him. Now, the good thing with this transfer window, teams are moving very fast. The transfer window is not even open yet. It's opening on Sunday. We are going to get to know very, very quickly who we are going to sign or who we are not going to sign, because we are not just going to, last time there was the Euros, people are like, okay, teams are going to start signing players in July and August, and that was the case. This time round, we are going to have to sign these players by June because other teams will come in for them. Most of these players will be gone by June. So that is another positive that I have right now, apart from Andrea Bata joining us, is because we have to go for players quickly, because if we don't, they're going to move on to other teams. So we have no choice but to go for these players quickly. So let's see what happens with the Gyokeres. This is a striker really, in my head, he's already an Arsenal player, which is it's not a good thing because we are linked to other strikers. But in my head, this guy already plays for Arsenal. In my head, I'm like, man, this guy would be absolutely incredible if he played for us. We've not had a striker like this in a while. Aubameyang was great, man. If you go and watch Aubameyang in 2018, 2019, the kind of finishes he was having, the kind of runs he had into the box, runs in behind, one-touch finishes. We need a striker like that, man. Hopefully we can get him, but if we don't go for him, then he's not going to join us. But if we push for him, he's going to join us. Now, at the moment, I'm still thinking it's 60% Sesko, 40% Gyokeres in terms of Arsenal. For me, I 100% want Gyokeres, but for the team, I feel like if I was to say who they're going to sign right now, I'd say they're going to sign Sesko 60%, Gyokeres 40%. So let's see what happens. Now, yesterday, some news came out. I was literally in front of the computer yesterday, but I was like, nah, we can't talk about another player again today. Let's just wait for tomorrow and see if anything develops. And that player is Julian Alvarez, a player who used to play for Man City not long ago. Actually, I would say this is one of the players that made Man City win the league ahead of us last season. Yep. There's some crucial goals he scored last season, and which is one of the reasons why they ended up winning that trophy. Also, the club pushing the hardest to sign Julian Alvarez. Andrea Bata is familiar with the striker from his time at Atletico Madrid and has put the name among the priorities for the window. Now, Andrea Bata signed him. Andrea Bata is the one who signed him to Atletico Madrid, one of the top strikers that he signed over there. And he was really good at Man City. Last season, I think he had something like either 27 goals or 29 goals plus 7 assists for Atletico Madrid. Very, very good for his first season in Spain. Now, the thing is, I know a lot of people usually say, Arsenal today it's Semenyo, tomorrow it's Nico Williams, the next day it's Lookman, the next day it's Rodrigo. That is true at some points. That is usually true. But Sometimes also maybe this information is not really coming from the club and some journalists are assuming. Now for this one, I could see why we could want him. Andrea Bata worked with him and all that, but would I expect Julian Alvarez to join Arsenal? I really doubt. Now, has Julian Alvarez improved since he went to Atletico Madrid? I think so. How much money did they buy him for? 81 million pounds. So if Alvarez leaves Atletico Madrid today, we are not going to sign him for anything less than 80 million pounds. Are we going to go and splash that kind of money for a player who's better playing in behind a striker? This is a player you'd have like supporting Haaland, or whenever Haaland was not there, he'd be the one who's playing. But if you sign Alvarez, that means he's your main signing. I don't think there would be a way where you sign Gyokeres and Sesko, one of them, and then you also sign Alvarez. I would be absolutely astonished if that happened. I'd be over the moon. I'd be like, what? Are we actually doing that? But that the chances of that happening is almost close to zero. So sometimes you think, is it because, there's some links with him and Bata, so journalists are just assuming, let's just put news out there that Arsenal want him and let's see, whether it sticks. It could be that. So sometimes it's not really the club who, want this player and want this player. I feel like sometimes journalists just assume that, okay, let's just put 2 and 2 together. This player used to play for this one. This manager used to be here. Let's just say he wants him because he wants to leave this club. Let's just link them together. Let's just say they want him. So sometimes that could happen. But Julian Alvarez would be a top signing. He's played in the Premier League before. Last season, he had 19 goals for Man City, plus a few assists here and there too. And I remember there's some goals he scored, like Newcastle. I think they won 1-0, and Alvarez had an incredible game. And whenever Haaland missed any games over the last couple of years, Alvarez usually used to step up for them. And one of the reasons Man City didn't do well this season is obviously because Rodri was out, but because they didn't have a backup for Haaland as well. The previous season, they had Alvarez to step up. This past season, they didn't have anyone. So that's another reason. So if you get someone like an Alvarez, would be a good signing, but I can't really see it happening. And yeah, I do agree it's a bit tiring sometimes when you hear Semenyo today and then you hear Alvarez tomorrow and then Sesko the night and then Gyokeres the morning. It's a bit too much. But the good thing is I feel like we're going to get to know who you're going to sign very, very early in the transfer window, and you won't have to stress about it all the way to July, thinking about who are we going to sign, how much money is this one and that one. No, we'll have our answer very, very quickly. So the transfer window is opening in January. Let's see how quickly we'll get an answer. Zinchenko. So Hand of Arsenal has just reported that Arsenal are willing to listen to offers for Alexander Zinchenko. The club had difficulty selling the Ukrainian captain due to his unique play style in the winter market. If a reasonable offer arises, he will be sold. I've not checked this, but I think the time I was checking the contracts of Gabriel, Saliba, Saka, I think I saw that Zinchenko's contract is expiring next year. Don't take my word for it, but I feel like that is the case. I feel like his contract is expiring 2026 because he joined us in 2022. I think he signed a 4-year contract. So he has 1 year remaining on his contract, I think, 70% sure. So if he does not sign a contract right now, or if he doesn't leave right now, he's going to be sold. He's going to move on next season without any fee. So because he has 1 year remaining on his contract, we are not going to get that much money for him. But if we can get like 20 million for him, I'd be very happy with that. Now, the thing with Zinchenko is he's not a good defender. We know that. He's not a terrible defender like what we used to have back in the 2010s, but he's not a great defender. Again, I stand by it when I say last season, if Timber was fit, not this past season, the previous season when he finished 1 point behind Man City, if Timber was fit and he played 2 or 3 of those games at left back instead of Zinchenko, we'd have won the league. One game really stands out. That is Liverpool away from home. Both seasons, actually. 1-1 and 2-2. Especially the 1-1 last season when you took the lead early. If Timber plays that game, we potentially go and keep a clean sheet and Salah doesn't go past Zinchenko. And I think it happened both seasons. The goal came from Zinchenko's side. So that is a good example. But the thing that Zinchenko is good at is playing football. He's one of the players who loves taking risks. I don't think we've had a lot of that recently. He can pick out a pass. He's not scared of trying to pass the ball, straight through the middle of the other team's midfield. He's not scared of attempting shots from outside the box. He usually does that a lot. So if he was playing as a midfielder, yes. As a backup, yes. But I'm not going to change what I said last season. You see what I've said about Martinelli and Trossard staying. I've always said I want them to stay because I need backups in the team. I don't want them to be starting next season, but I want them to stay to be backups. Another thing I said about Zinchenko last transfer window, I said Zinchenko had a very good first season at Arsenal. He had a poor second season. I said I'm going to give Jesus and Zinchenko a third season to see how they do. Now Zinchenko hasn't really been used this season, and you can see that, we're not really heading forward with him. We're not really going to be. He's not going to all of a sudden break back into our team again. So that would mean that is one good season and two poor seasons at sea. So whether be it because of injuries, whether be it because he can't defend sometimes, all that combined, you cannot go with him into a fourth season. And we're not going to give him a new contract anyway, so you rather cash in right now. Although everything I've said is one of the players that can pick out passes for us in midfield and all that. And the times Zinchenko was at Arsenal the first season, the reason why we were playing our football like that and scoring a bunch of goals and scoring every game the first 1 minute and 2-0 up the first 10 minutes and playing incredible football with Xhaka and Odegaard and Zinchenko, is because of him. He's one of the biggest reasons we were playing like that. And the moment we removed Jesus and Zinchenko from the team because of injuries, everything changed. And we realized we're conceding a lot of goals. You have to, play in a different way. That is what I decided. But Zinchenko is one of the reasons why we were playing like that in 2023. So I think he is going to leave. But how much would you guys be asking for? Let's see how much you're going to get for him. Hand of Arsenal has also said something about Thomas Partey's contract. Arsenal now in the final round of talks to renew the contract of Thomas Partey. Short-term deal is on the table. The variable wage structure negotiations have gone very well, and now both camps are now confident of reaching an agreement. So we've already talked about Partey a few times. He is going to stay. I have seen this very mixed reaction online. There's half of the fan base who are happy is going to stay, but there's definitely half of the fan base that are not happy is going to stay. Some people have said his age is not good. Some people have said we need to freshen up our midfield by getting 2 new midfielders, Zubimendi and someone else. Some people have said Partey has struggled sometimes to play against players like Rodgers in that midfield. All that. There's a lot of different reasons why people are speaking about Partey potentially signing a new contract not being a good idea. Now, for me, I do feel like in the first half of the season, he was really good, especially those games where we were playing poorly against Newcastle, Bournemouth, all those teams. He's the only player who was really playing well, and he managed to stay fit. That's another thing. Some people are saying, oh my goodness, you're going to give him a 2-year contract and then he's going to get injured right away and then you're going to waste money again. Obviously, there's PTSD from Aubameyang signing a new contract and disappearing, Ozil signing a new contract and disappearing. We've been through a lot, so you do understand why Paul would be worried about 30-year-old signing new contracts at Arsenal. But he is going to stay anyway. Is he going to be a starter? I don't know. I wouldn't think so. Next up, Trossard, Saliba, Partey. So Partey was mentioned here by Sarah Collins. Arsenal have already opened talks with Saliba, Partey, Trossard over fresh terms. Negotiations with Saka set to ramp up this summer, but Martinelli's situation is less urgent. So first of all, we need to give contracts very, very quickly to Saka, Saliba, and Gabriel before anyone else. And then we can... Trossard is getting one, Partey is getting one already. So you'd be a bit worried for Martinelli, as they've said there. Arsenal is rushing to give all these other players contracts apart from Martinelli. So I'm a little bit worried about Martinelli. I'm saying I would keep him on the bench next season, but I can't confidently say he's going to be here next season. There is a chance that he could actually be the one to be sold. So let's see what happens with him. But these contracts, we need to get them done as quickly as possible. One Garcia, player who's always been in the news the last 1 year. Juan Garcia has told Espanyol in the last few hours that he's not keen on joining Barcelona. His preference is to join a club in the Premier League. This is according to Martin Moreto. So the club in the Premier League, Arsenal is the team that really wants him in the Premier League. Now, for me, I am very happy with Raya being our first choice goalkeeper next season. I do not want us to change goalkeepers. Are we going to spend 20 million on a backup goalkeeper? It could happen, but listen, I want a striker first. Let's get a winger. If we can get an attacking midfielder, we sign Zubimendi. We also need a defender, and if all that is done, and then we spend 20 million on a goalkeeper, that is fine. Or if you have enough, and because Juan Garcia will be an early signing if it happens, let's hope that signing Juan Garcia does not affect us signing a wing or something like that. If you have enough money, well and good, but let's not use the money if it's going to affect us signing any other forward players. But yes, we do need the backup goalkeeper anyway. We don't have enough. Neto is leaving. We don't have a backup goalkeeper. We need someone who can actually play in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup. Neto could not play in the Carabao Cup because he was cup tied and he went out of the FA Cup in the first game. So we do feel sorry for Neto. Didn't really get a chance at all. But when he got the chance against Girona, he wasn't great. And again, the problem with last summer, the Neto and Sterling signings were, I don't think we were going to sign them. I think it was just, oh my goodness, time is ending. Let's get someone. Both of those signings. That is the problem. When you get players like that, it rarely works out. Get those let's just get it done as quickly as possible because time is running out kind of signings. Those ones never work out. So that's the latest in terms of the transfer news. Let me know in the comments how much you'd want for Zinchenko. And yeah, I'm not even going to ask you about the forward players. What I'd say is let's just not, we are going to talk about them whenever there's any news, but let's just wait for the transfer window to open so that we can get a clearer picture of who we're actually going to go for. I don't think anyone really knows who you're going to go for because there's been links to Gyokeres, there's been links to Sesko, and then when it gets to the wingers, we've had Lookman, we've had Rodrigo, we've had Nico Williams, we've had even Mitoma recently. There's been news on Leao, there's been Semenyo, there's been so many. So we're not going to go for all of them, but hopefully we do get at least one of them because, yeah, we don't. If you miss out on all of those ones that you're talking about, you're going to go now to plan B, plan C. Now, right now, we need plan A. Right now, we need plan A. So let me know what you make of all that. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.